Good afternoon, everybody. What's going on? This your girl Tiffany coming through live in effect. Today I'm gonna be dealing with a topic about H. Rap Brown, who is also now known as Jamil Al-Amin, and we're gonna look at his history and his life. As you all know, that October the 4th was his born day, so that's his birthday. So today we're gonna be focusing on his history. And please excuse my voice. I'm not feeling in the best mood. I'm kind of like, I feel a little sick, but I should be okay. All right. So let's go ahead and get started, you guys. Let me turn my volume up a little bit so y'all can hear me. Hold on. Give me a second. Hopefully, you guys can still hear me. Okay. All right. All right, then. So let's go ahead and get started. As you can see, that's Jamil Al-Amin, H. Rap Brown. That's him. Okay. So we're gonna look into his legacy. As you guys know, Mr. Brown was a former Black Panther, but he's a Muslim and he's an activist, and also he's a political prisoner at the moment. Um, so we'll get into all of that. All right, that's H. Rap Brown. All right, so let's go into his introduction about him and his life. So Jamil Abdullah Alamin, born Herbert Grill Brown on October the 4th, 1943, formerly known as H. Rap Brown, was the fifth chairman of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee in the 1960s, and during a short-lived six-month alliance between SNCC and the Black Panther Party, he served as the Minister of Justice. He is perhaps the he is perhaps most famous for his proclamation during that period that violence is as American as cherry pie. And if that that if America don't come around, we're gonna burn it down. He is also known for his autobiography, Die Nigger Die. He is currently serving a life sentence for murder following the shooting of two Fulton County Sheriff deputies in 2000. Later, another man confessed to committing the murder, but this was rejected by the courts. All right. So as I told you guys before, he's currently serving time in prison. Okay. So they have not overturned his conviction or anything. Hold on. Let me turn my volume up. Okay, you should be able to hear me now. You should be able to hear me. All right. But anyway, they have not overturned his conviction, as we know that he is still currently locked up right now. So, and same way with Mamir Abu Jamal, they won't overturn his conviction either. So, all right. All right, let's look at his early life and activism. Brown was born in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He became known as H. Rap Brown during the early 1960s. His activism in the civil rights movement included involvement with the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, of which he was named chairman in 1967. That same year, he was arrested in Cambridge, Maryland, and charged with inciting to riot after he gave a speech there. Okay. Brown was introduced into SNCC by his older brother Ed. Rap first visited Cambridge with Cleveland Sellers in the summer of 1963 during the period of Gloria Richardson leadership in the local movement. He witnessed the first riot between black and whites in the city, and was impressed by the local civil rights movement's willingness to use armed self-defense against racial attack. He later organized for SNCC during Mississippi Freedom Summer, while transferring his studies to Howard University. Representing Howard SNCC's chapter, Brown attended a contentious civil rights meeting at the White House with President Lyndon Johnson during the Selma crisis of 1965. In 1966, he organized for Black voters' registration and enforcement of the recently passed Voting Rights Act in Greene County, Alabama. Elected SNCC chairman in 1967, Brown continued Stokely Carmichael's fierce support for Black power and urban rebellions in the ghettos. All right. During the summer of 1967, Brown toured the nation calling for violent resistance to the government, which he called the Fourth Reich. Negroes should organize themselves, he told a rally in Washington, D.C., and carry on guerrilla warfare in all cities. They, they should make the Viet Cong look like Sunday school teachers. He declared, I say to America, fuck it, freedom or death. All right. So the Black Panther Party, okay, was considered as the most radical group of all time in the 70s. So, and they were treated as such. You know, you had J. Edgar Hoover that kept an eye on them at all costs and even had informants, right? Those who were particularly Black African Americans to go in, infiltrate, and pretend like they're one of them or one of the members and just infiltrate what was going on, then come back and give information to the government about everything. So, yep, it was a lot of that taking place. It was a lot of informants, and again, they were looked at as being radicals, and, and so they were seen as being a threat. And H. Rap Brown happened to be seen as a threat to the government because the fact that he was a part of not only SNCC but also the Black Panther Party. All right, let's continue. Okay. Cambridge riot incident. In the late 1960s, Brown was tried on federal charges of inciting to riot and carry a gun across state lines. A secret 1967 FBI memo calling for neutralizing Brown, and he was targeted by COINTELPRO program at this time. The charges were never given. His attorneys in the gun violation case were civil rights advocate Murphy Bell of Baton Rouge, the self-described radical lawyer William Constler, and Howard Moore Jr., general counsel for SNCC. Feminist attorney Flo Kennedy also assisted Brown and led his defense committee, winning him support from some chapters of the National Organization for Women, which was the NOW organization. Okay. Now let's look at his life. Oh, okay. It says during his trial, Brown continued his high profile activism. He accepted a request from the Student Afro American Society of Columbia University to help represent and co organize the April 1968 Columbia protests against university expansion in Harlem Park Land. He also contributed writing from prison to the radical magazine Black Mass, which was edited and published by Up Against the Wall Motherfucker. In the article titled H. Rap Brown from Prison, Lasman Tashande Mobilashika, Lasman Tushande Mobilashika, if that's the way it's pronounced, Brown writes of going on hunger strike and his willingness to give up his life for a change. Brown is now known to have no direct relationship with the alleged riot of 1967. Documents from the Kerner Commission investigation show that he compelled his speech at 10 p.m. on July 24th, then walked a woman home and was shot by a deputy sheriff, allegedly without provocation. Brown was hastily treated for his injuries and secretly taken out of Cambridge. The one major fire did not break out until hours later, and its suspension has been attributed to the deliberate inaction of Cambridge police and fire departments. which had hostile relations with the black community. The head of Cambridge Police Department, Bryce Bryce Kahneman, nonetheless claimed that the city had no racial problems. Brown was the sole cause of the disorder, and it was a well-planned communist attempt to overthrow the government. Brown was originally to be tried in Cambridge, but the trial was moved to Bel Air, Maryland on March 9th, 1970. Two SNCC officials, Ralph Featherstone and William Payne, died on U.S. Route 1 south of Bel Air when a bomb on the front floorboard of their car exploded, killing both occupants. The bomb's origin is disputed. Some say the bomb was planted in an assassination attempt, and others say Payne was intentionally carrying it to the courthouse where Brown was to be tried. The next night, the Cambridge courthouse was bombed. Hmm. They again, it was a lot of radical things taking place during the 70s and 60s. You would hear a story about the underground weathermen, right, who was the most radical group. They was very anarchist. They was like so anti-government. Um and again, you had some members in the Black Panther Party and the Black Liberation Army that was very rebellious. Okay, if you heard about a story about George Jackson, right, and his little brother went up in the courtroom with a rifle and demanded that his brother be free, but ended up getting killed, right? And of course, George Jackson himself, he ended up getting killed because he was trying to escape from prison, but he let off the last shot. And after he let that last shot off, one of the guards killed him. So there were those who was really serious about overturning the government in back in those time period. They were very serious. They were on some radical stuff. All right. But let me go ahead and continue. And let's go down where it says later life. So Brown disappeared for 18 months, during which he appeared on the Federal Bureau of Investigation 10 most wanted list. He was arrested after a reported shootout with officers after what was said to be an attempt robbery of a bar in New York City. He spent 5 years in Attica prison after a robbery conviction. While in prison, Brown converted to Islam and changed his name from Herbert Gerard Brown to Jamil Al-Amin. After his release, he opened a grocery store in Atlanta, Georgia, and became a Muslim spiritual leader and community activist, preaching against drugs and gambling in Atlanta West End neighborhood. It has since been alleged that Al-Amin's life changed again when he allegedly became affiliated with the Darul Islam movement. Okay, so we're gonna look at that real quick, but let me talk to you guys about the Atlanta West End. So the Atlanta West End, right? It's a neighborhood. West End is a neighborhood in Atlanta, in the Southwest Atlanta area. Okay, as a matter of fact, you got Southwest Atlanta, where you got the West End Park over there. Okay, across the street from the West End Park, there is a masjid, which is called the West End Community Mosque, and that was founded by H. Rap Brown. Okay, so yeah, that was founded by him. He founded the masjid over there. And to this day, the mosque is still there. They still around. They still uphold the principles. So I wouldn't describe the brothers and sisters as being very pro-black, but they about community first, the black community, you know what I'm saying? But they also represent their spirituality as well. So they kind of on that same level as H. Rap Brown is, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, he founded the masjid over there in that area. So he did so much in the community. He had really put his work into doing what he can for the people. And one of the things he did, try to make sure the neighborhood stayed clean, stayed peaceful, and of course the masjids and other stores around that area is mostly, occupied by the Muslims. So yeah. Let's go ahead and find out about this movement, okay, that he's supposed to be a part of. The Darul Islam movement. Let's see what they about. Okay. Okay, the Dar al Islam. All right. Let's look them up. Hold on, let me. Okay, in classical Islamic law, the major division are Dar al-Islam, territory of Islam of voluntary submission to God, denoting regions where Islamic law prevails. Dar al-Saud, territory of treaty, denoting non-Islamic lands which have concluded an armistice with a Muslim government. And Dar al-Harb, territory of war, denoting adjoining non-Islamic lands whose ruler are called upon to accept Islam. All right. So let's look at Dar el Islam. All right. So I'm not going to be on this too long, but I just want to look at this up real quick. So Dar el Islam. All right. House or Abad of Peace, or Dar al Tawhid, house or about a monotheism, is a term used by Muslim scholars to refer to those countries where Muslims can practice their religion as the ruling sect. It is the area of the world under the rule of Islam, literally the home of Islam. These are usually Islamic cultures wherein Muslims represent the majority of the population, and so the government promised them a privileged status. All right, it says some modern Muslim scholars believe that the labeling of a country or place as being a part of Dar al Islam revolves around the question of religious security. This means that if a Muslim practices Islam freely in his place of abode or abade, even though that place happens to be secular or un-Islamic, then he will be considered as living in the Dar al-Islam. Yet the majority opinion, which relies on tradition, claims that only countries ruled by Sharia can be considered the true adobes of Islam. Dar al-Islam, or house adobe or submission, is also known and referred to as Dar al-Salam, or house adobe of peace. The term appears in the Quran 10:25, Surah 10, verse 25, and Surah 6, verse 127 as the name of paradise. According to Abu Hanifa, considered to be the originator of the concept, the requirement for a country to be part of Dar al-Islam are Muslims must be able to enjoy peace and security with and within this country. The country should be ruled by a Muslim government. It has common frontiers with some Muslim countries. All right. So he's supposed to be part of the movement that represents the House of Peace. And because the United States is about freedom of religion, right? So you have a strong population of blacks that's practicing Islam here in America. So they will be considered as part of the Dar al-Islam, right? But in some cases, according to some scholars, they don't consider those who live in a country that's based on secularism, right, or secularism, or a country that's un-Islamic as Dar al-Islam. So they look at Dar al-Islam mean a country that is solely based on Islamic philosophy, the Sharia law, etc. Okay, so let's go ahead and get back to the main topic. Okay, so let's say 2000 arrest and conviction. So March 16, 2000 in Fulton County, Georgia, Sheriff's Deputy Ricky Kinchen and Algernon English went to Al-Amin's home to execute an arrest warrant for his failure to appear in court after a citation for speeding and impersonating a police officer. It was believed that he was an unnamed police officer in a town in Alabama and showed his unnamed badge to gain the sympathy of the officers citing him. All right. And it says, after Determining that the home was unoccupied, the deputies drove away and were shortly passed by a black Mercedes headed for the home. Kitchen, the more senior deputy, noted the suspect vehicle turned the patrol car around and drove up to the Mercedes, stopping nose to nose. English approached the Mercedes and told the single occupant to show his hands. The occupant opened fire with a 22 was it 223 rifle. English ran between the cars while returning fire from his handgun, but was hit 4 times. Kenshin was shot with the rifle and a 9mm handgun. The next day, Kenshin died of his wounds at Grady Memorial Hospital. English survived his wounds and identified Al-Amin as the shooter from the 6 photos he was shown while recovering in the hospital. Both of the sheriff's deputy Al-Amin was convicted of shooting were black, which undermined Al-Amin's racial conspiracy theory defense at trial. Shortly after the shootout, Al-Amin fled to Whitehall, Alabama, where he was tracked down by the U.S. Marshal and arrested by law enforcement officers after a 4-day manhunt. Al-Amin was wearing body armor at the time of his arrest, and officers found a 9mm handgun and 223 rifle near his arrest location. Firearms identification testing showed that the weapons were the ones used to shoot Kenshin and English. Later, Al-Amin black Mercedes was found riddled with bullet holes. His lawyers argued that he was innocent of the shooting. Defense attorneys noted that Al-Amin's fingerprints were not found on the murder weapon, and he was not wounded in the shooting. As one of the deputies said the shooter was, the deputy also said the killer's eyes were gray, but Al-Amin's are brown. On March 9, 2002, nearly 2 years after the shooting, Al-Amin was convicted of 13 criminal charges, including Kenshin's murder. 4 days later, he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He was sent to Georgia State Prison, the state's maximum security facility near Redesville, Georgia. Otis Jackson, a man incarcerated for unrelated charges, claimed that he committed the Fulton County shooting 2 years before Al-Amin was convicted of the same crime, but the court did not consider Jackson's statement as evidence. Jackson's statement corroborated details from 911 calls following the shooting, including a bleeding man seen limping from the scene. Jackson said he knocked on the doors, attempting to solicit a ride while suffering from wounds sustained in firefight with deputies Kenshin and English. All right. It says, at his trial, prosecutors pointed out that Al-Amin had never provided an alibi for his whereabouts at the time of the shootout, nor any explanation for fleeing the states afterward. He also did not explain why the weapons used in the shootout were found near him during his arrest. In May of 2004, the Supreme Court of Georgia unanimously ruled to uphold Al-Amin's conviction. All right. And it says in August of 2007, Al-Amin was transferred to federal custody as Georgia officials decided he was too high profile for Georgia prison system to handle. He was in a holdover facility in the USP Atlanta. 2 weeks later, he was moved to a federal transfer facility in Oklahoma pending assignment to a federal penitentiary. On October 21st of 2007, Al-Amin was transferred to the ADS Florence Supermax prison in Florence, Colorado. On July 18, 2014, having been diagnosed with multiple myeloma, Al-Amin was transferred to Butner Federal Medical Center in North Carolina. As of 2018, he is incarcerated at the United States Penitentiary in Tulsa. In 2018. Al-Amin had the possibility of retrial through the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals. The investigative journalist Hamaza Raza wrote of the confession of a man named Otis Jackson that could exonerate Al-Amin. However, the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals reject his appeal on July the 31st of 2019. In April of 2020, the U.S. Supreme Court declined to hear an appeal from Al-Amin. His family and supporters, including Andrew Young, continue to petition for a new trial. All right. So, and then here's his words, Die Nigger Die, which I do have the PDF for that. And then another one's called Revolution by the book The Rap is Live 1993. All right, so here's some notes down here with the list of references if you want to look up more information. And then the external link. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate that a lot. I really do. All right, so I want to show you guys some information. Okay. So I may play a video. I don't know. It depends if I have enough time. All right, so let's see. I want to show you guys all right, this is no, that's the wrong one. All right, so here it is. This is his autobiography. It's called Die Nigger Die. All right. It was written by him in 1969. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the introduction to you. Okay. And it says racism systemically verifies itself when the slave can only break free by intimidating the master, by contradicting his own reality. When a black man looks at black people with a black mind and black soul, it is immediately apparent that black people possesses certain unique characteristics which not only distinguish them from whites and Negroes, but which have greatly contributed to the survival of blacks. Whites recognize this and have always attempted to eradicate these characteristics or discredit them. In instances where they have succeeded, Negroes have been created. Negroes have always been close allies of whites in trying to eliminate black resistance to undesirable acculturation. Negroes see poor and uninstitutionalized black as niggers. They find it necessary to prove to whites that they are not niggers, failing to realize that whites see all black people as niggers no matter how rich or how poor. Some blacks prefer to be called Negroes because they like to distinguish themselves from other blacks. They fear that if they call themselves black, they might uh, antagonize whites. And if they antagonize white, they would lose their positions as Negroes. Okay. The white appointed overseers of blacks. Thus, Negroes have always tried to aid and impress white by eliminating blackness. Negroes know that whites pervert institutionalized blacks, blacks who give their allegiance to white cultural, political, social, and economic institutions. Non-institutionalized blacks are difficult to control because their allegiance is to blacks and not to white institution. It is Negroes who strain to send their children to white schools so that the nigger in them may be killed and they may thereby become better institutionalized. Any action or behavior which is not endorsed by whites, Negroes consider acting a nigger. What was acting a nigger 2 years ago is not accepted as so. Naturally, this was endorsed by whites before being accepted by Negroes. The conversation in Negro America has always been, what are we going to do about them niggers? Never, what are we going to do about them white folks? Negroes always said, niggers holding us back. Niggers ain't shit. Don't go around acting a nigger. Negroes say, nobody but niggers cuss and use poor English. Nobody but niggers steal. Nobody but niggers are always loud. Nobody but niggers listen to the blues. Nobody but niggers burn and loot. Nobody but niggers eat watermelon. I don't call you niggers because you're mine. I call you niggers because you shine. While Negroes are saying this about poor and uninstitutionalized blacks, whites say this about all blacks. The Negroes being unable to recognize who is the true enemy becomes an enemy of blacks. Negroes prefer living to being free. To be black in this country is to be a nigger. To be a nigger is to resist both white and Negro death. It is to be free in spirit, if not body. It is the spirit of resistance which has prepared blacks for the ultimate struggle. This word, nigger, which is taboo in Negro and white America, becomes meaningful in the black community. Among blacks, it is not uncommon to hear the word my nigger addressed to a brother as an expression of kinship and brotherhood and respect for having resisted. He's a bad nigger, meaning he stand up for himself. He won't let you down. He'll go down with you. When blacks call Negroes niggers, however, it takes on the negativeness of white and Negroes usage. It says Negroes and white have wished death to all blacks and to all niggers. Their statement is die nigger die, either by becoming a Negro or by institutionalized or active genocide. Blacks know, however, that no matter how much or how hard Negroes or whites may try, ultimately it will be the Negro and his allies who will say die, die, die. America calling Negroes, can't you dance? Play foot/basketball, nanny, cook, need it now. Negroes, can't you entertain only, others not wanted, and are considered extremely dangerous. And that's written by this little poem right here was written by Don L. Lee, but the introduction was written by H. Rap Brown. Okay, so it's coming from this book called Die Nigger Die, 1969. You can also look it up on archive.org. Archive.org. You can just type in the title Die Nigger Die and it will pop up. So I'm gonna show you the website. Okay, I'm gonna show you guys the website. Okay. All right, so this is archive.org, Internet Archives. So you can go look up for the web, books, video, audio, software, images, whatever. So, like, if you want to look up the book of H. Rap Brown, put on here. Okay. You just go on here, click, and it will let you borrow the book for an hour. You can borrow the book for an hour. You can borrow the book for 2 weeks or whatever. However long that you need to borrow the book, it lets you borrow it. So, yep, this is the book right here. All right. And that's the cover of the book. It's H. Rap Brown, Die Nigger Die. So, yep, you guys can do that. Let's see. I want to show you guys something else real quick. I'm not going to be able to play the audio, but I'm going to show you another information. It's called Rap Sheet. Okay, you see? So this come from jpanafrican.org. Okay, journalpanafricanism.org. That's what it stands for. So this is called Rap Sheet H. Rap Brown, Civil Rights Revolutionary, Cop Killer / FBI Target with a question mark. All right, written by Abad H. Sadiqui. Sadiqui is a writer and journalist based in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He is also a contributor to All American 45 Men on Being Muslims, edited by Wajat Ali, and Zara T. Surat Wala with a foreword by Keith Ellison. Okay. All right. And this was written under the Journal of Pan African Studies, Volume 5, Number 8, December of 2012. Okay. It says, a voice for the voiceless. His voice had power. His booming delivery was infused with rousing social political rhetoric. With a rhythmatic, condensed tone and inflection, his voice kept a beat. It emboldened a generation of black youth and frightened the white establishment. His voice organized black voters in a rural southern town. It later pushed drug dealers and prostitutes out of his Atlanta community. As he aged, the provocative rhetoric gave way to a mellow measure and a direct recital of religious discipline. His trade, his iconic, he traded his iconic black beret and black sunglasses for a knitted kufi in wire rim glasses. Despite his garb at a lean 6'5", he always cut an imposed figure, a revolutionary unafraid to speak truth to power. And it says that, but now that voice has been muted, muzzled underneath the wailing screams of the mentally ill as they bang on the walls of their prison cells, walls on to which they spread their feces. Men who mutilate their bodies with and shadow razors, shards of glass, sharpened chicken bones, and writing utensil howl and weeping at all hours of day and night. It is within these hellish confines that a civil rights icon sit shackled in an underground cell, silent. All right. And so that's just the introduction of this article. Okay. Again, it's called the Rap Sheet H. Rap Brown, Civil Rights Revolutionary Cop Killer, and FBI. That's the name of the author right here. All right. And then you can go look it up on the Journal of Pan African Studies, Volume 5, Number 8, December 2012. Okay. And the website is right up here at top. It is jpanafrican.org. Okay. All right. So, with that being said, you guys, thank you guys for tuning in and watching. Again, the reason why I'm sounding like this because I'm not in my best mood and because I'm not really feeling too good. So hopefully I'll feel a little bit better. But anyways, thank you all for watching. And with that being said, I hope you all have a wonderful day, a wonderful afternoon. Please take it easy on yourself. Until next time, may peace be upon you, and I will reconnect with you guys later. All right. Peace.